Indie Mogul.
Moms. Everybody has one, and almost everybody's relationship with their mom is different. That's because moms are people too, and Hollywood has been trying to pull back the pink curtain for decades. In fact, some of the most memorable movie characters are moms, and here's a look at the top 10. Sometimes, though, mom can't be around, and it's those sad cases that make it so extraordinary when another woman steps up to the plate. Such is the case with Auntie Mame, where an orphaned young boy is sent to live with his eccentric aunt in Manhattan. Auntie Mame is a powerful and unique story that started out as a novel in 1955, which author Patrick Dennis based on his own real-life aunt. Auntie Mame then became a celebrated Broadway play, which was then made into a movie, both starring Rosalind Russell in perhaps her most iconic role after His Girl Friday. And while Angela Lansbury and Lucille Ball have also played Auntie Mame, even their performances are no match for Russell's. Mame's love for her nephew through good times and bad makes for one of those great Hollywood Technicolor portraits of New York City glamour, a la How to Marry a Millionaire and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Speaking of Angela Lansbury, she made her mark as a very different type of mother in The Manchurian Candidate. This 1962 political thriller features twists so shocking that I won't reveal them here, but I will tell you that after you watch this film, you'll believe that a mother could eat her young. Interestingly, Lansbury was only 3 years older than the actor who plays her son in the film, something Hollywood still does to this day. And just like Melissa Leo, Lansbury was also nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, but in her case, didn't win. Lansbury, born in England, broke into Hollywood with impressive turns in Gaslight and The Picture of Dorian Gray, but it wasn't until The Manchurian Candidate that her career really took off. After all, it takes one heck of an actress to pull off such a despicable character, who made it to number 21 on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains list. Mothers and daughters can often seem like sisters, and there's no better example than Mamma Mia. Originally a smash hit stage musical from the 1970s Swedish pop group ABBA, it was brought to the silver screen by husband and wife producing team Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. And while neither of them star in the actual movie, it's still stuffed with movie stars. Meryl Streep sings and dances as single mother Donna, a former rock star who's raised her daughter Sophie on an island in Greece. As Sophie prepares for her wedding, she wants her estranged dad to walk her down the aisle. All she has to do is figure out who he is. But because of her mother's rock and roll past, the answer is multiple choice. So she invites all three to the wedding. Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, and Stellan Skarsgård all sing as well, along with Christine Baranski and Julie Walters. This film adaptation went on to be a smash hit in its own right because it sounds as good as it looks. Meryl Streep stars in another memorable mom movie, but this time she's the daughter and fellow screen legend Shirley MacLaine plays the mom. Postcards from the Edge is based on Carrie Fisher's semi-autobiographical novel and details her real-life relationship with mom Debbie Reynolds. Yes, Hollywood moms are some of the most controversial moms, and apparently Reynolds is one for the books even in that crowd. In the film, actress Suzanne Vale, the Carrie Fisher character, is a recovering drug addict who wants to return to work, but the studio will only insure her to work if she lives with her mother. But as this odd couple tries to live together, they discover that perhaps they aren't so different after all. The film is directed by comedy great Mike Nichols, and Fisher adapted her own book for the screen. You'll never think of Princess Leia the same way again. The American nuclear family came to prominence in the 1940s, and Hollywood immortalized it on both TV and film. In such a family, the mom is the anchor, and the likes of Harriet Nelson and June Cleaver define that role. But Brad Bird decided to have some fun with it decades later. In The Incredibles, the Parr family, all blessed with superpowers, are forced to go into witness protection. But trying to act normal proves difficult for this extraordinary family. Helen Parr, voiced by Holly Hunter, wants desperately to keep her family safe, even if it means coming across like a wet blanket. Why does mom always have to play bad cop to dad's good cop? But when her husband, who's been moonlighting as a superhero, gets into trouble, Helen puts the tights back on and shows that moms can be just as kick-ass as dads. And while we're on the topic of kick-ass moms, you don't want to threaten Ellen Ripley's kid. In the sequel to the hit film Alien, Ellen Ripley returns to Earth only to discover that her daughter grew old and died while she was in hypersleep. Feeling lost and alone, she reluctantly decides to accept an offer to return to LV-426, the alien-infested planet from the first film, to find out what's happened to a colony there. A colony there already? Yeah, hypersleep's a bitch. When she gets there, the situation is obviously not good. However, the sole survivor of the colony is a young girl, and Ripley's maternal instincts kick in. And while it might seem questionable to take one of Hollywood's strongest female characters and try to make her more feminine with a mom angle, every woman has maternal instincts, no matter how much they might want to deny it. And James Cameron, a master of mixing sci-fi with human interest, used that to make Aliens an early entry in what would become his hit parade. Plus, the added dimension to her role earned Sigourney Weaver an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for Aliens. While Weaver didn't win, Sandra Bullock did. When The Blind Side hit theaters in November 2009, it became a sleeper hit thanks to its inspiring true story. Based on the book by football player Michael Orr, it tells of how an affluent white family took him in off the streets. Bullock wowed audiences with her performance as strong-willed mom Leanne Toohey, so much so that Hollywood, not originally impressed, gave her the gold anyway come February. While it was later revealed that many white suburban families are now taking in troubled African-American teenagers, but only the ones who are star athletes, there's no denying that the Tooheys changed Orr's life and he changed theirs. Bullock, whose career had begun to lag, had a resurgence thanks to her work in this film, reminding audiences that she's America's sweetheart at any age. Certainly one of the most awkward mom movies is Back to the Future. When Marty McFly accidentally goes back in time, he meets his parents as teenagers and ends up ruining the moment they fell in love. To make matters worse, his mom falls in love with him. Ugh. But it is also hilarious to watch Michael J. Fox at the height of his career try to keep his mom away from him while getting her to fall in love with his nerdy dad. The dicey setup is handled perfectly by writer-director Robert Zemeckis, who makes such a story surprisingly cozy. Plus, it's got the Steven Spielberg stamp of awesomeness as he produced the film, which is so good that it sparked a trilogy, although this is the only entry that's mom-centric. And while Fox knocks this movie out of the park, he couldn't do it all by himself. Crispin Glover as his dad and Lea Thompson as his mom are also pitch perfect, proving that our parents were also once teenagers in love. Yeah, James Cameron knows kick-ass moms, and he created the mother of them all, Sarah Connor. While Ripley was the warrior whose maternal instincts kicked in, Connor's maternal instincts made her a warrior. Yes, in the original film, Connor was the damsel in distress, hunted by a cyborg from the future intent on killing her before she gave birth to the future leader of the human resistance. The cyborg failed, largely so that Hollywood could make a sequel, and so they did. With Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Cameron made what could be arguably his best film. Sorry, Avatar fans. And in it, he not only turned his cyborg into a good guy, but turned Connor on her head. When we first meet her, she's in an insane asylum, and her escape is one of the film's most thrilling sequences. See, since she knows her son is going to lead the resistance against the machines, Connor has made it her mission in life to prepare him for the job. And Linda Hamilton's performance is so fabulous that the character has endured, even if Hamilton no longer plays her. In the cult hit TV show Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, Game of Thrones' Lena Headey played Connor for 2 seasons before the show was canceled, right in the middle of a cliffhanger. A lot of us are still pretty darn upset about it. Anyway, fun fact, whenever you see 2 of Hamilton in T2, it's not movie magic, but actually her real-life identical twin. Finally, hands down, the most memorable movie mom is the fierce portrayal of Joan Crawford in Mommie Dearest. Who has not heard the famous line, "No more wire hangers"? And while on the surface it might seem like Crawford was a monster to her adopted daughter, in reality it's the study of a deeply driven career woman trying to have it all and being torn apart by stress and failure. Crawford was a screen legend, but not without tremendous personal sacrifice, both on her part and unfortunately on her children's. Faye Dunaway holds nothing back in her performance, and it's perhaps the role for which she's most famous. Ironic as she disliked the final results. Critics weren't too crazy about it either, but over the years it's become a cult hit, deservedly so. And that is BTT's list of the most memorable movie moms. Do any of them remind you of your mother? And are there any movie moms you felt should have made the cut? Write your thoughts down below, and next time you watch a movie, remember, moms enjoy a good movie too, especially when watching it with their kids.